Let's hear some war stories. I'll go first. Iraq 2007. It was cold as fuck. We were tasked with setting up an ambush. IoT take care of some problem locals. We got in position the night before, maybe a half-mile away from the entrance to a little village that these clowns would be entering around dawn. All we needed to do was wait for daylight, give them the business when they walk through, and then leave, hopefully making it home in time for lunch. We waited all night, silent and motionless, laying in snow. Finally, the sun started to rise, and we heard the voices of men on foot approaching our position. It was 2 old guys and maybe 6 cows. Not who we were waiting for. The old guys were chatting and walked past without noticing us. Everything was good. A cow spotted us. This idiot cow then decides to come over and investigate. This piqued the interests of the other cows, and they decided to come over and check things out. Half a dozen cows began leaving the road and entering our palm grove. By this time, their human escorts have noticed and are heading back to our position. The old guy spotted us. Heads lowered, eyes dropped, and they were back on the road in seconds, speed walking TF out of there. Our plans kinda fell apart, so we speed walked TF out of there in the other direction. Made it back in time for lunch though, and I had a fucking cheeseburger. Iraq, Yusufia Power Plant, 07. I was pulling guard at a position overlooking the Russian trailer park, which was always a wind tunnel aimed straight at your face. It was winter, and cold as fuck. We had a pot-belly stove in the op to the right of the 240, to keep us less miserable. Being the skinny fat boy I am, I brought a can of Chef Boyardee raviolis that I had mailed to me, to ease the pain, put it on the top of the stove to heat up, and forgot about it for a bit. Sog called sometime later, to ask if I wanted chow, one of the few Judes that actually tried to feed us while on guard when Sog, which reminded me that I had that can on the stove. I grab it off, and put it on the gun table, quickly forgetting about it again, since I'm smart like that. Some more time passes, and I start hearing this tink 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 metallic sound. It kinda sounds like someone is hammering metal or something in the distance. And I'm thinking it's the friendly neighbors planting their mortar plate into the ground or some such. I was 11B. I wasn't supposed to be smart. Right when I'm leaning my face out to try and see if the possible hoodrat activities are happening right out of sight, I hear a loud explosion, feel a smack in the face, and I see nothing but bright red, and my face feels like it was on fire. I immediately think I just got sniped in the dome, and start pawing at my face in a panic to see if I can fingerfuck the bullet wound to survive long enough to find the hand. I get my sweet 1980 style iPro off, and see the real carnage. Chef Boyardee tried to fucking kill me. The cold wind hitting the hot as fuck can made the pop top explode off, giving me a ravioli and tomato sauce facial. What I thought was brain matter and blood was luckily just the remnants of my dinner, and me learning a bit about thermal dynamics the hard way. I had burns to my face, a 240 covered in sauce, and a close encounter with the hilariously embarrassing death. The lid ninja starred inches from my neck and hit the wall behind me. I hope they would have came up with a better story to tell my family if I got whacked by a fucking ravioli can. I kept my iPro unwashed because that was just too fucking funny. My most cherished war trophy. Here's me and the boys in some courtyard in Ramadi. Probably late 2004, early 2005. We were stacked in the street just outside the door, getting ready to enter the courtyard when we got lit up by heavy machine guns that were hidden in an adjacent alley. The guy on the ground was in front of me and got hit twice in the back just below the plate. That's me on his back, Kabar in hand, cutting his vest off so I can stop the bleeding. One of the bullets that hit him happened to be a tracer round, and it must have hit his body armor and slowed down, because it popped right out almost like a pimple into my hand. The guy, CTT Morton, made a full recovery but got sent home. I kept that bullet, cleaned it up, and carried it with me until we got home. It actually fit perfectly on my dog tag chain. Then I gave it back to him. On our way to pick up a general at a GS in Baghdad, As we were approaching our landing pad, heard a fallen angel call over the radio, and we picked right back up. A State Department bird went down and caught fire. The crewman's voice on the radio was of sheer panic, and I remember his desperate call clearly. "I need help now. These guys' pilots are dying." I could hear the screams in the background of the call. We landed immediately, got our packs, and told them we had to go ASAP. As soon as we were airborne, we got a hold of OPS to give us the grid of that bird, and we made a plan on who was doing what. OPS unfortunately sent us the wrong direction, and we didn't get there in time to do anything. They didn't make it, we just had to scratch that off, and continued on our original mission. A very less chatty flight after that. We deployed mid-2006, until November of 2007, as part of a PSD task force. We were in Yusufia Mahmudia in the Triangle of Death. Our truck hit its first Eid about 3 months in. Our first convoy Eid was 2 weeks in. We were driving down this narrow dusty road, and we heard a loud bang and dust and dirt flying all over the place. We had a that military intelligence soldier with us, and she was freaking out. "I'm hit. I'm hit." I looked her over and checked for wounds bleeding. She was not hit. The LT called up on the radio asking for our situation, and our platoon sergeant, who was riding TC, responded with, "Yes sir. No casualties, no injuries. But the Eid took out our AC. It's very hot in here, over." LT chuckled. "Copy that. Be sure to look over your Vic when we get back." My deployment was quiet. Very boring for the most part. Opening parenthesis, thankfully closing parenthesis, .so no shit. There we were, last 20 minutes or so on our XB, which was really just an overwatch position for an Afghan base. Our little slice of Americana was on. I'm sitting in the driver's seat of our Mativ, and my battle is sitting in the back, passenger side. It was open top for the gunner, no crows here. We didn't know each other too well, maybe a week at this point, and we're just shooting the shit. Watching the sun fall behind the Hindu Kush, then we hear an audible whistling noise, and the sound of something landing in our Vic. There's this half moment of stunned, did I just imagine that shared between us? Before we get the fuck out. In about half a second we were out of the Vic, and find a couple of contractors laughing their asses off. Turns out they had thrown a Nerf football, and it landed right in the gunner's hatch where the 240 was. My deployment was quiet. Very boring for the most part. Opening parenthesis, thankfully closing parenthesis, .so no shit. There we were, last 20 minutes or so on our XB, which was really just an overwatch position for an Afghan base. Our little slice of Americana was on. I'm sitting in the driver's seat of our Mativ, and my battle is sitting in the back, passenger side. It was open top for the gunner, no crows here. We didn't know each other too well, maybe a week at this point, and we're just shooting the shit. Watching the sun fall behind the Hindu Kush, then we hear an audible whistling noise, and the sound of something landing in our Vic. There's this half moment of stunned, did I just imagine that shared between us? Before we get the fuck out. In about half a second we were out of the Vic, and find a couple of contractors laughing their asses off. Turns out they had thrown a Nerf football, and it landed right in the gunner's hatch where the 240 was. Some dumbass Taliban figured blowing up his suicide vest inside his 50k 60k VB next to a fob wall would work. I'm pretty sure this was either next to Fob Lightning, or whatever fob was down the road. I forgot the name. Well, it didn't. It only partially injured him, doing nothing else to the vehicle. Then dumbass at a hospital tried detonating the rest, injuring no one, and only killing himself. Some dude had a bomb bigger than the OKC bombing next to a fob fully manned by an entire battalion. Stupidity saved around 500 lives that day. Would have easily been the most horrific mass casualty situation in all of GWAT.be. Thankful there's dumbasses in this world.